Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Where is Yusuf alayhi salam's grave? How did the grave disappear from Egypt and was transferred into the land which is now known as the region which comprises of Syria, Palestine, Jordan, Lebanon, this region which was back then called Syria? How did the grave transferred or moved from Egypt to Syria? Well, Yusuf alayhi salam died in Egypt. After he passed away, when it came to his burial, there was a big dispute. As mentioned in Ajaibul Quran ma'a Gharaibul Quran, and also, what I'm about to share with you, some of the details, also comes in the books of tafsir like Tafsir al-Madhari or Tafsir al-Baghwi and several other books. So, when Yusuf alayhi salam passed away, as comes in Ajaib al-Quran ma'a Gharaib al-Quran, page 145, that there was a big dispute among the people as to which neighborhood should he be buried in. So to put the dispute to an end, what they decided to do was to bury him in the middle of the river Nile. And to make this happen, they prepared a special coffin for him made of marble. They put his body in it, and then they wanted to lower that into the base of the river Nile so that as the Nile touches it, and that water comes into the irrigation system of Egypt and other places, they could benefit from it. Anyway, so they took the coffin with the body of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam and they lowered it in the middle of the Nile River. Hundreds of years passed after this happened, and now it is the time of Musa alayhi salam to leave Egypt with the children of Israel. And the night when he is to leave, there are several deaths that happen within the Qibtis, the ruling tribe of Egypt, from which the Pharaoh was as well. And the entire tribe or the entire Qibtis were extremely busy in taking care of their dead. And that's the night when Musa alayhi salam moved with his people outside of the city limits, and he had to go to where he had to go to. In the midst of that, while he was traveling, they reached a land, and they noticed that this land is open, barren, but they can't see a thing. They can't find a way out. And Musa alayhi salam got worried. So he called all the elders and he said, is there anything that we are leaving behind that we should take with us? And the elders said, well, Yusuf alayhi salam told his brothers that if you were to ever leave Egypt, take my body. And he said that on his deathbed to his brothers, that take my body with you. So Musa alayhi salam said, but well, do any of you know where Yusuf alayhi salam is buried so that we can take his body with us? And everybody said, we do not know where he is buried. So then Musa alayhi salam made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and said, oh Allah, my sound, my plea should reach the ear of the person or people that know where he is buried and should not reach anybody else. And there was only one old woman in all of these children of Israel. Some books say that their numbers were close to 600,000 or little more than 600,000. So one old woman came to Musa alayhi salam and said, I know where the body of Yusuf alayhi salam is buried. But if you make a promise that you will fulfill, only then I will tell you where it is buried. Musa alayhi salam said, how can I fulfill a promise that I do not even know about? I will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. So Musa alayhi salam made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and an angel came and told Musa alayhi salam that, oh Musa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you should make promise to the old woman and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fulfill the promise. So Musa alayhi salam called this old woman and said, whatever you have, I promise you that it will be fulfilled. She said, I have only two things. Number one, I'm an old woman. I have nothing to travel on, and this is a very long journey. You must provide me with something that I can ride on or make journey easy for me. And Musa alayhi salam said, Inshallah, that's not a problem. Will be done for you. What is your second request? And she said, whichever Jannah you will enter in Akhirah, may Allah make me enter the same Jannah as I want to be your neighbor in Jannah. Subhanallah, Subhanallah. So Musa alayhi salam said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you that as well. So she said, I will tell you where Yusuf alayhi salam is buried. She said, he is buried in the middle of the Nile. Musa alayhi salam said, how will we find it? She said, I'll show it to you. And when they reached closer to the banks of the river Nile split open on the spot where Yusuf alayhi salam was buried, and Musa alayhi salam was able to take his casket out or coffin out, and then was able to carry that with him to his next destination. And when he reached on the other side of the sea that split for him, it was not the Nile that he crossed over. It's the Nile in which the Yusuf alayhi salam's body was buried. He just got the body out, and then he moved on to his next destination, so he can go across the sea, and he would enter the promised land, or whichever region Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and wanted him to enter. Anyway, so Yusuf alayhi salam body was carried all the way to the Syrian region, not the current modern day Syria. That's very small. The Syria at that time was a much bigger region, as I told you earlier. It was inclusive of Palestine and Jordan and Lebanon and Syria and some of the other parts. You do not have to look at the countries today, because those boundaries and those borders are much recent. So anyway, Yusuf alayhi salam was then buried into Syria. So that's how Yusuf alayhi salam body was moved out of Egypt into Syria, as mentioned in several books that I mentioned to you earlier in this lecture. Anyway, so when the children of Israel reached a point where on the back there was an army of Pharaoh, and in the front was the water, at that time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Musa alayhi salam to hit his staff on the ground. It's the same staff that could turn into a snake and would turn back into a staff. Now the same staff is being used for some different purpose, and 12 routes open within the sea, that the water moved like a mountain. It was standing tall and high. It was standing, and the ground, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it such that the ground dried up, as if something that is on a land on which the water has not touched for a long time. So with heavy wind and extreme heat, miraculously the ground became dry, and everybody started walking. All 12 tribes, for each one of them there was one route that they took. Now they started getting worried that maybe the other tribe was drowned and we are the only one who are saved. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did, He opened between those walls of water windows, like open windows, where the water was standing on all four sides of the windows, so they can see the other tribes through them. Subhanallah, subhanallah. And that's how they went on the other side. Again, the idea, today's lecture is not focused on those details, but I thought, since we're talking about this subject matter, to also discuss that with you. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section down below, and Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We really need your support to grow and so that this information can reach more and more people. Till next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.